Okay, so today I wanted to talk a little bit about boundaries. So I had a client, and one of the questions that she always asks me, she's like, Crystal, I don't understand. Like, I don't get how you just cut people off. Like, it's clean. It's just, like, how do you do it? Like, don't you miss them? How do you enforce these boundaries? And obviously, like, for me, therapy was a huge part of it. I didn't even really know what boundaries were. I feel like I was like, oh my God, everyone's gonna be so mad at me because I want to do certain things and they're gonna be mad at me and it's so cringe. But honestly, I didn't know how to enforce boundaries, and I feel like I really needed like psychological guidance. So I created a list. I was like, okay, like what are some of the things that I would like not stand for? Like, I don't think people understand how precious this life is that God gave us. Like, I firmly believe that we only have one life, and I don't want to spend my days miserable. Like, especially when you're a person who's gone through a lot already, like, you kind of just, like, when I think about my future, I'm like, if God's there, I know there will be peace. Like, I don't want to be around certain energy. And I basically told her, I'm like, at the end of the day, like, it's not like we have to cut ties and, like, we never speak again. Like, yeah, okay, well, I mean, yes, we do cut ties, we never speak again, but it's not like I wish that person ill, or I'm like, oh, like, I wish, this happens to you, or like, oh, you're gonna get your karma. Like, I do believe in karma, but at the end of the day, like, it has nothing to do with you. I know that sounds kind of bad, but there are some friendships and relationships where it goes beyond a point of like reconciliation, and in order for you to really get to the next step and open the door that God has for you, you have to let some people go. You have to let some situations go. You have to let some jobs go. And that's where I got. So I decided to, I'm like, okay, you know what are the things that like I would not stand for? Like, if it was like my daughter or something that I was talking to, like, I would tell them like, don't deal with this, don't deal with that. Or my son, or like a friend, where I'm like, yo, if I did that to you, like, I had a friend venting to me, and we kind of just went quiet. She's like, what are you thinking? And I was like, honestly, I don't know, because like, if I ever did that to you, like, would you still want to be around me? Would you still want to be my friend? Would you still trust me? Like, where would our friendship go after that? So I created my list. So I separated it though. Oh, I thought I lost it. I separated it because I was like, okay, I want to do like a romantic side, and then I also want to do a friendship side, because one of my friends is gonna come on here and we're gonna talk about like being children of God. Like, certain things happen to you, you just have certain issues that a lot of people don't have, and you have certain people that target you in terms of like friendships and stuff. They want to be around you, they want to take your energy, they want, it's a very scary it's a very scary life when you're aligned with God. But she's gonna come on here, we're gonna talk about like red flags and friendships and stuff. So I'm gonna just kind of touch on it today, but I really wanted to focus on like romantic relationships. And like, I feel like a lot of women in particular, like, just make, like, they'll get into a relationship and like make the person their entire life. Like, if they're fighting, like, they're gonna have a bad day at school, they're gonna have a bad day at work, they're gonna have a, they're gonna be snappy to their friends, they're gonna be snappy to their kids even. Like, that's just not, I don't know, I don't think anyone really wants to live that lifestyle. So here's the list. Now, for the first one, it's abuse. So goes without saying, psychological, mental, emotional abuse. Like, it literally just deteriorates the health of all of those things. Any type of abuse. And the thing about abuse is that it always starts slow. Like, with physical, it might be like a punch in the wall. It might be, throwing something off of a table. It is only a matter of time until they build up into physically putting their hands on you. With mental, it's always like those little, like, tiny things that you would kind of just be like, hmm? Did I just hear what I heard? Or like, you're getting ready and they're telling you, oh, this doesn't look good, and you look good. Like, you look good, not like over the top or anything. Like, or just, oh, when you wear your hair like that, oh, it's just, oh, well, it's nasty. Ooh. I've had so many women tell me in my chair that they're like, oh, like, I wear this dress, and like they'll show me pictures, they'll be like, hey girl, like, what do you think about this? And I'm behind them like doing their hair, and I'm like, girl, you look good. Where were you going lying? Like, and they'll be like, oh, my husband said like it didn't look good, and like my hair looked this. I'm like, are we seeing the same picture? Like, there's no way. There's no way. Like, there's no way. I don't get it. But in reality, it's just like they're kind of jealous of you, and I don't know. I feel like even emotional. Like, if you open up to someone and then like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh because this has happened to me, so I guess I can. But you open up to someone and then they're just kind of like staring at you. There's no response. There's no, like effort to try and like, not that anyone else is responsible for your emotions, but it's like if you open up to someone you want, there could be some sort of reception. Like, geez, like some people are just not as emotionally in tune as you might be, especially when you're healed. Like, when you're healed, you start to see, unfortunately, and it's not a judgment, but you start to see how unhealed other people are, and it also makes certain relationships start to become difficult to even maintain. So I think like any type of emotional, mental, physical abuse, like you don't want to, spiritual too, because honestly, don't put it past certain people. It's the people closest to you who will work witchcraft on you. So spiritual abuse too, any type of abuse gone out the door. Now this one, it's very difficult for me to say because I've never ever continued with someone, but after like this happening, but I'm gonna say consistent infidelity. Like, I have met couples who were able to reconcile after like infidelity, and I'm like, wow, like I don't think I could do it. Like, I just don't think I could. I think I could forgive you, but to like stay is like, I don't know, because it could happen again, and I don't even think it should happen once. One thing that I've learned about infidelity is that, and obviously, like, I'm not a doctor, I'm not no scientist, I'm not a dating coach, I'm none of that stuff. It's just life experiences. One of the things that I've noticed, especially after like finding actual male friends that I can trust that have no ulterior motives, along with a lot of the clients that I've had in my chair, one of the things that I've learned about cheating is, like, obviously I'm not an expert, but I've learned that there are some people who can do it. Like, they can do it no problem. It doesn't bother them. They'll do it over and over again. They'll apologize over and over again, and they'll do it over and over again. And then there's other people who, like, the thought, honestly, I fall into this category. Like, if I had ever, I've never done it, but if I had ever cheated on somebody, they would know within the hour. They would know within the hour, because I'd be like, I made a mistake. I can't be with you. Like, I wouldn't even get, I'd be so sick to my stomach with myself. I know it sounds bad, and I know it sounds mean, but I don't know, maybe if it's because I've been like on the other end before, and like what cheating does to the person who got cheated on is so unfair. Like, I feel like so much is taken from that person, and it's just not fair. I feel, especially if it's gone to the point of like physical cheating, because there's different like versions of cheating. If it has gone to the point of physical, nobody talks about it, but that is like spiritual. I don't want to say it like on this platform because obviously it'll get flagged, but it's spiritual RAP, because you can finish off the spelling, but you didn't agree to soul tie with this other person. Now everyone's demons are just intermingling and dancing and having a party, but you didn't agree to be connected with that person. So that's a totally other episode, but we'll get there. But physical cheating, emotional cheating, what is cheating? People always want to ask this question. I feel like it's anything that you can't do in front of your partner. So for example, if your partner, you wouldn't obviously be physical with someone in front of your partner. If your partner had their eyes locked on your phone, could you type a text to that person and press send if you were scrolling and your partner's eyes were glued to your phone? I mean, and it really should never get that. Like, phones are private, I get it, but to a degree, like, you shouldn't be doing crazy stuff on there. If you're downloading any apps, that's cheating. Like, any dating apps, that's cheating. If, I just had something in my brain. Oh, if you were scrolling and, you know, you see some big booty Judy, like, on the timeline because they're there, that's their life. It is what it is. But if you scroll up on that picture on your homepage, first of all, what is your algorithm doing? Because is that a regular thing? But anyway, because I don't have any of that stuff on my profile. So if you like, not that I don't post it, like I don't get those types of posts in my timeline. They just don't appear because I don't follow that type of content. I don't like that type of content. So if your partner was looking at your phone, would you like that type of photo, right? And vice versa. Like if there's like some shirtless buff dude, like, and your partner is looking at your phone, do you think he'd be okay with you liking it? Why are you liking it? Like, I think that's a deeper problem. But yeah, consistent cheating, like, because honestly, if you're a cheater, you're a liar, in my opinion. So like, you take so many choices away from people, like taking away someone's ability to choose. And cheating just, oh god, it's just, maybe I'm too traumatized to talk about this, but cheating is just crazy to me. Like, it's not something that I would ever even think of doing. Like, I don't feel like it's good in my heart. I don't think I could live with it, to be honest with you. The repercussions of cheating, like, what if you know, like something happens and boom, like, I've seen people who they've literally had a baby from like cheating with a random person, ruined a good relationship, cheated on their partner, got pregnant from that person, or caught like a crazy, like, caught something. I know, I'm sorry. And it's not to be like mean, but it's like, I'm just remembering when they told me and I was like, yo, this is like, but you got yourself into it. So I think someone hates you, honestly, if they're gonna like consistently cheat on you. That's like they hate you. Like, that would be, I'd be like, wow, like, you hate me. It's never been consistent with me because I don't stick around after the first time. Like, if I find out, and like, women's intuition, don't underestimate your intuition, because honestly, I'm at the point of life where like discernment is something that I've had since I was very young. Like, even my mom used to tell me, like, I used to have this friend and this friend, and like, you used to be like, mommy, I don't like them. Or mommy, I don't trust them. Like, she said I used to say really creepy stuff as a kid. Like, my level of discernment was like really high, and I think that it's kind of been on and off throughout the years. But I feel like women's intuition, that's not something you should play with. And I feel like you almost get to a point of when you're so close with God, like, you don't even need confirmation. Like, you don't need confirmation from like the world. Like, you don't need a person to tell you, hey, so I know it's just like a Thursday afternoon or it's a Tuesday evening, and I know we have Taco Tuesdays, but I'm cheating on you. That's not that's not how you're gonna find out. Like, I see the red flags and I'm gone. Like, I'm gone from then. If it could potentially turn into something where I literally have to ask myself, like, would God want this for me? Like, is this of my highest state of being, that God's like, is this God's will for me? And sometimes it is, because he's trying to teach you something and say, hey, you want to be dumb, go be with that dumb guy who's gonna cheat on you, or go be with that dumb girl who's gonna cheat on you. It's not funny, but like, sometimes you really need to get like your spiritual beaten, and you learn. But as long as you learn and you move forward, but like, yeah, consistently cheating on you, just, that's not somebody you want to be around. The list is long, so I'm gonna continue. I have to bring the iPad out for this. The next one was substance abuse with no change. So if you are with someone who has like an addiction to whatever, you have to ask yourself, is this something that I can deal with for the rest of my life? If they're not dealing with it, do you want to be the one to deal with it? Because until they deal with it, like, addiction is crazy. Like, I cut out alcohol, I cut out weed, I cut out like a lot of addictive substances, because I mean, there's not a lot, it's literally just those two, but I had cut them out because I was like, I want to go back to like my childlike state of being. Like, I want to be the closest that I can with God. And my last like alcohol and weed experience were just like not good, and I was like, yeah, God, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna do this again. like it's gone. It's been alcohol's been 2020, 5, almost 6 years. No, it is actually only 5. In Christmas, on like December 25th, it'll literally be 5 years without alcohol. Weed has been over a year. So honestly, you don't really need them. And it's like, yes, I can understand you need to go to sleep and some of these things can help you with certain things, but it shouldn't be a crutch. Like once you start to get to the point of and this is just like my own story, but once you start to be dependent upon these things, like I had a friend who would say like, oh, like I'm a functioning weed addict. And I'm like, but are you really though? Because like how aware are you when you're constantly in that state of like having to, like there's always some sort of void that's trying to be filled in my experiences of when like I was drinking and partying and doing all that stuff. Like there's always some sort of void that you need to fill. Like once you go to therapy, like you're gonna see, I'm not saying don't have your fun, you know, have a glass of wine or whatever with dinner, but like when it comes to addiction, like substance abuse, like you're not gonna get that person in, you know, their highest state, which is okay because not everybody's there, but it could also be a danger to you because if they're not in their right state of mind, what position does that leave you to be in when you're physically around them? Especially if you have places in life that you want to go, are they going to meet you there? Who knows, right? It's up to them to get rid of the substances. So that was another one, but it's without plans to change. Like if there's no plans to change, there's no movement towards change, towards a different life, then those are some things that I think are grounds for like not reconciling with people and just having your boundaries and leaving if you want to leave. Simple. This is a very, very particular one because I've seen it on both sides. Now, I've had like guy friends talk to me and they're like, oh, like she did this. And I'm like, I'm always just a listening ear. Like I try not to give any input. Like I'll get more information. I'm like, okay, well, why did it bother you so much? Right? Like I'll give an example. I went to like a, I don't even know what it would be called. It was like a night of like, it wasn't even really networking, but it was more like a podcast, but there wasn't people like sitting down and talking. It was more of like a, it was like, if I was to name it, it would be like Black Woman, Black Man Connect. Like it was literally like, it was really good. And I hope they have another one because it was absolutely phenomenal. But someone came on the mic, and I'm going to say this because he did it in a room of public, like everybody. And he said, if I have a girl, I don't want her going out and wearing this, and she can't wear this and that. And I was like, what? I was like, okay, I'm not gonna fire back, but I legitimately wanted to know. I was like, what gives you the authority, like to, like where did you get that? Like where did you? And I was like, you know, like was she dressing like I legitimately wanted to know. Unfortunately, my question didn't really get answered. I had to find him after and like try and get the answer myself. But when I tell you, everyone was jumping on this guy's throat, and some people, I don't want to say right or wrong, but I was understanding different perspectives. But for me, I was like, I don't understand that, because if you picked this person like as your partner, what gives you like the grounds to say like, oh, dress this way? Like that's kind of like I genuinely wanted to know. But and after he ended up telling me like it just kind of makes me feel like, he's like, yeah, but like once they become my person, like I want them to do this and that. And I'm like, well, then maybe you should just get someone like that who's like that, dressing like that from the very beginning, right? I don't know. I still don't understand it, to be honest, but it was really interesting. So and he what he was saying, I was trying to read between the lines, but what I basically got from it is that like there's a level of respect that no longer exists. Like if you're gonna be doing certain things, like certain activities like a single person would do, like a single person who's consciously looking for someone else, there's a loss of respect. And I was like, okay, I can understand that, but also I have a lot of moms, especially since I've gone mobile and I've started to do like clients at home. will be home and their kids are there and their husband is there, and they'll be like, oh, like I just want 20 minutes to myself. Like they're literally like crash out ready, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, crash out. Like they are just like, I don't understand. Like there was too many to count, where they're like, you know, when you become a mom and when you become a wife, like it's never 50-50. You're always doing more. And Crystal, you don't have any kids right now, but like these things I usually take with a grain of salt, because I'm like, okay, that's your situation. I don't know if it will be mine as well, and I don't want to manifest it into my life and be like, yeah, it is never 50-50. You do everything in the house. You cook, you clean, you do this, you take care of the kids. You do, like, I'm not gonna call that into my own life, but there are a lot of homes that I go to where people are like, oh, like I just want to get my hair done for like an hour or two. Like, is that so hard? And they're like on the verge of tears. They're on the verge of tears. And like, I just want to get my hair done for, I can't even have 2 hours to myself. I ask you to watch our kids for 2 hours, and it's like you're incapable. Why are they constantly coming upstairs and like interrupting the appointment? I don't care. I love kids. Low key, I'm like, hey, buddy. I don't really care. But I know that for them, it's a totally different experience. And they're like, okay, like the laundry's going off and like the timer on the stove is going off. Like, why can't they get it? And so the point is a loss of respect. I noticed that there's a lot of things where, a lot of situations where people get comfortable. So, you know, there's no more date night. There's a lot more responsibility on one person, or, you know, that person might do something that really harms the relationship and you just don't really respect them anymore. That's a big one. And I feel like it's a hidden cause of like why people and relationships are just, oh, they just we grew apart, they're not the same person, you know, the load was different. Like loss of respect is a big one, and I don't think it's talked about enough. So this one is like different life goals and life values. So I find that it comes along the lines of like finance and like family goals, a lot of times religious as well, sometimes lifestyle. Like some people want, like I know I like a very relaxed lifestyle. I don't like a lot of people around me anymore. I think when I was younger I had a little bit more like, I've always been a social person, but I'm also still battling trust with other people, because I don't feel that, unfortunately, I had to learn the hard way that not everybody wants to be around you for the right reasons. So at this point in my life, I do enjoy peace. I do enjoy tranquility. I'm a spa day kind of, face mask kind of, nails done, pedicure type of girl. Get my hair done. To be honest, most of it I'm doing myself, because it just relaxes me. My love language is physical touch. I'd love to like do those things to myself. It's not about vanity. It's about like self care. Like it calms me down. Like you ever had someone really brush your hair? You get those little tingles. You're like, ah. Wash your hair at the sink. Like it's very relaxing. I can't do the loud party. Like I've done it. I've done it already. I don't enjoy it anymore. If I'm not in my bed by like 11 p.m., I'm literally on the verge of crashing out. Like I'm gonna want to cry and like, someone take me home, please. I just want to be home. And usually, because I don't drink, I am the designated driver. So I'm going home. I don't care how far I am. I'm going home to my bed to go sleep. But yeah, I feel like if I was to like meet somebody or like have friends who are like, hey girl, come on this Friday night and let's party, let's do this, like I'm too old for that. I'm sorry. Like it's just, I feel like it's, I don't know, I feel like it's kind of like I never really like to do things that I don't want to do, and that's one. Like I wouldn't, there's just certain things that I like. If you're like a country living person versus like a city living person, like I am not sure how those two people would like live, if that makes sense. Or if you're like a glamorous person and the other person is more like, yeah, like I'm just gonna like throw something on, like yes, those two people can be together, but I think they're gonna value certain things. Like one might place a high value on like vanity, with the other one's like, okay, I don't care about that. And I think unconsciously those things can actually drive like a wedge between two people. So like even like finances, one spends a lot, maybe one saves a lot, like that, those kind of things don't really align. And I think that that's a boundary that people should like set as well. I don't know if, I guess it would be, what did I put it as? Yeah, just like different life goals and different life values. Like if you're a Christian and you want to be with someone who's a Christian, like can you really date someone outside of religion? Like what does that look like? Or someone who doesn't believe in God at all. Like what would that look like? So it's like, would you really put time into that? What's the value of doing that? So I don't know. But yeah, that was one that I put on the list because I'm like, I think that would be a deal breaker for me. I know I would, not think. I know I would. The next one I put was neglect. Like neglect and abandonment. I feel like I've been in situations where and heard like other like a few of my clients, a few of my friends, male and female, tell me about like feeling like they're in like a relationship by themselves, and like I don't think there's any worse feeling to be in something and you're like by yourself, like you're the only one doing everything, you're the only one putting in effort. Like that's not fair to anyone, because at that point like something's happening to your energy and something's happening to your soul essentially, because what are you doing wasting time there? Like I think that sometimes, a lot of the times when people break up, they're like, man, I could have saved a year out of this if I had just done it earlier. So I feel like it kind of like erodes the sense of like security. Like if someone's constantly leaving you, or you know, you call them and you can't reach them, like that doesn't feel good, and that doesn't feel very obviously you should be obviously you should be secure like in your own light, but I do also feel like when it comes to security in a relationship, like that's like being feeling neglected and enduring like abandonment is not cool. I feel like that's grounds for not being able to like reconcile after like a fight or stuff like that. Friendships. I want to get into friendships a little bit. Now, one of the first points that I put down was like betrayal of trust. Now, it's cringe because I've been in these conversations. If we're being honest, I never came here to lie. To be completely authentic, I've been a part of these conversations. Like, I don't think people understand how much like girls gossip, which is one of the big reasons why like I'm consciously spending a lot of time by myself, because I don't have the energy for that. Like, I don't have the energy. I don't have the same viewpoints on things. Like betraying someone's trust, or like I know so much about. To be fair, I am the person that a lot of people like vent to and confide in, but I know a lot about people that I really shouldn't know, and it's not really a good feeling, because a lot of the times like I had a situation where I had a friend where they would constantly talk to me about another friend, and it got to a point where like we don't talk as much anymore, but it got to a point where I'm like, okay, you're definitely talking about me, number one, and number two, like this is still your friend. So if you ever have anything where there's going to be like mutual people, I don't feel comfortable to be around this person knowing all that I know that I really shouldn't even know, right? Like it's not like I was primed for the information, like and it's everywhere. It's a part of like pop culture now, where it's like, girl, I've got tea for you. Like it's, I don't want to be a part of those conversations anymore. I have when I was younger, and when I think back, to be honest, I'm like a little bit embarrassed, a bit embarrassed of like about being a part of those types of being a part of those types of conversations. It doesn't feel good. If it was happening to me, which it probably has, I don't really, I guess it kind of rolls off me a little bit more, because I'm like, people don't think anyways. I don't care what people think. But, but in reality, if you were to hear like someone close to you, like betraying your confidence, it's not a good feeling. The next one, jealousy and resentment. This one is so scary. because I want you to take a moment and think about all of the times that you have heard someone say, I was jealous of that person. When you got your car, I was so jealous of you. When she got married and got that big old ring, I was so jealous of her. No, it doesn't come like that. A lot of the times it'll be like, oh, I don't even know how she got this, and I don't even know how she got that, and little do they know that you have a relationship with God, and you're close with God, and you believe in His strength, and you believe in His will for your life, that He has blessed you 100 times over. People don't know the trauma that you've been through. People don't know the things that you've been through, and they're jealous of you. Once I even get a whiff, once I even get a whiff of jealousy, I'm gone. You're never gonna hear from me again. And it's not just friends. It's not just between like sisterhood. It can be like your lover too. Like, oh, that's jealous of you. Jealousy is not something that I deal with. That is something that you have to take up with God. That is something at that point you literally cannot trust this person. The only thing you can do for them is pray for them. That is grounds to lock off, because you don't know what to expect from someone who's jealous of you. Someone who's jealous of you can go into your washroom and take your hairbrush and take your hair. It would be from my wig anyways, but take some hair out your hairbrush or do some witchcraft to you. Like it, these are the people that you do not communicate with. Like even telling them your business, you don't know what kind of monitoring spirits are attached to them. Do not trust jealous people. I think that jealousy is an emotion that people have, but it's not something that you have to feed into. Honestly, keep jealous people away from you. Number 3 on the friendship list is something that I find a lot of people are starting to go through more often. A lot of good people, unfortunately, and it's the lack of reciprocity. I feel like it's one thing to be a giver, but I think givers need to be with givers. I don't think that givers need to be with takers. And the point of giving is not to get something back, right? But if you're constantly giving to a point where something is constantly being asked of you, like unless it's like your job, where that's like your title and there are things that are asked of you, but even your job, like there's people who hate their jobs, and if it's one thing, they know that after their whatever the pay period is, once they hit that pay period, they get paid. So even the job that you might hate is going to give you what you need. There's some reciprocity there. But and I don't think that relationships should be that, and friendships should be that, but I do notice that a lot of givers are with takers and energy vampires, and it's very dangerous. Like these people will bleed you dry, that by the time that it's, like time for you to be taking care of your own goals and your own ambitions and taking care of things in your own life, you have no resources because you've given them all away. And I understand how the Bible, like I'm still trying to balance giving with like giving, I guess not too much, but it's more giving to the wrong person, because there are people. One thing I noticed about good people is I feel like I used to always believe, like me and my cousin were having this conversation the other day, like when we were younger, like we would even talk about it at those ages as like conscious children. It's like you could be such a good person. Like I used to really believe that as long as you're a good person, like good things are gonna happen to you. And honestly, a lot of the things in this life are good. Like I constantly give gratitude. When it comes to people though, I don't know, I think now that I'm older, I feel like it's God's way of showing me, like, do not put your trust in man, do not put your trust in the world. Take your eyes off them and put your eyes on me. Like that is something where I'm like, God has given me so much, but it's not your job to give it like to energy vampires and liars and cheaters, because there's so many people who lie and cheat and scam and do so much stuff to other people that, I mean, karma is going to run its course. Unfortunately, it's gonna run its course. And I used to think that giving was such a good thing, and I, to a degree, I still do. But giving to the wrong person, like I feel like you're just like giving to the devil, like giving to the devil's minions. Like, here you go, take my energy, take my light, take my this. Like, you cannot give your energy, you cannot give your time, you cannot give your resources, you cannot really share your light with wicked people. Like, wicked people have already made up their mind, and if your love didn't change them, only God's love can. Stop giving to the wrong people and stop letting people dream you. This is another part. I would say it's like part two of like giving, but I think it's when you're basically going through like a lot of stuff, like, and there's no support. So like no support during difficult times. I feel like that's when friendships really get tested. Like friendships, relationships really get tested. Like it's always in the first fight that you find out like who somebody really is. And it's like, yes, arguments and stuff don't really have good words, but it is a almost map to gauge how well does this person communicate, how supportive are they, like if something really bad happens to you, where are the people? Like that's why I always say check on your friendly friend, because there's been so many times that something bad has happened, like, and I find this with Christians a lot, like a lot. It's like you'll be going through something and it's like you turn to your left, there's nobody. You turn to your right, there's nobody. Like there's so many situations that especially with my Christian friends that I've talked to, they're like, yo, like I had to go through that alone. And I'm like, why is this happening? Like obviously you have God to hold you up, but sometimes it can be difficult. Like it's difficult being on earth, being a Christian, because then nobody talks about it. Like it's difficult to be going through stuff and nobody's there for you, right? Like these are supposed to be your friends, this is supposed to be your family. It's like you would think that with those I guess life titles, right, you call someone a friend, you with those life titles, you would, there's almost an expectation, right? You're always there for them. But when you're going through your stuff and you're actually looking for, I'm not talking about people who retreat and expect people to come check for them. I'm talking about people who like you're like, hey, can we talk for a minute? And they're like, oh no, I'm busy. What? But I was on the phone with you for 3 hours when you were going through this. And it's not that you did it because you want to throw this back into their face, but it's like you did it because that's what friends do. Like, are we not friends? Like, not even 5 minutes, for real? That's crazy. But yeah, that was one. So like going through difficult times and nobody's there for you. So the last point was constant criticism or disrespect. I don't know what's been going on, but this is the second time that the camera has died today. So I don't know what kind of wickedness is going on, but we move, we're pushing forward. The camera's literally plugged in, so I don't know. But yeah, constant criticism or disrespect, especially like the backhanded ones where it's like, oh, this is like, you look nice today, every other day you look like garbage. Like, but just that kind of energy is not, that is ground to just get rid of that energy. It's not, and try to attach the energy, because like some people literally have spiritual attachments. Like it's not something that's talked about enough, and either you get it or you don't. Like it's not really the person that you're talking to. Sometimes they've been taken over, and I know that sounds really creepy, and it is. So you have to ask yourself if you want to be around that energy. But friends are supposed to be building each other up. Like those kind of like backhanded comments and like not inviting you places when you're supposed to be really cool, but they want to call you when things go left, or they want to call you when, and this is stuff that I've lived through, and it's not fun. You don't want to be the friend who's just like there for like the bad stuff. Like you want to be there for the good stuff too. And it's like the constant criticism or trying to be helpful. I'm just trying to let you know, like that doesn't look good on you and you look fire, like that kind of energy. To be honest, a lot of the tips outside of like attraction and like physical intimacy can be used, like the relationship slash romantic in comparison to the friendship. Like that's the only real difference between those types of relationships. So a lot of the tips can be used like interchangeably except for a few, but that's a big one, and it's something that I see happen in a lot of friendships. And underlying, it's always like envy, jealousy, something, whatever. But the thing is, underlying, it has nothing to do with you. If that person needs to go to therapy, they need to go to therapy, right? You can maybe suggest a place, you can pray for them, but that's all you can do. If that person does not want to change, it's not going to change. But the type of like criticism and those backhanded comments, those types of energy, like when it comes to friends especially, nobody wants to admit it, but we'll talk about it. It can mess with your self-esteem, and it just erodes the friendship over a like certain period of time. Because how many times are you guys gonna go out and then you start to realize, hey, when I get ready at her place or when she gets ready at my place and we're getting ready to go out, I don't feel my best self. I don't feel confident. I felt so excited to go out today, and all of a sudden, like now that we're in the vicinity of each other, we've seen each other, I don't feel that way. Why is that? Like, how long is it gonna take for you to realize, like, oh, this person's not that good for my health, right? And the transformation happens through God. If they're close to God, then you will know it, you will feel it, you will be living it with them. One thing I've learned, even on the short time that I've been like in isolation, listening to God, listening to His voice, following His steps, doing it His way, like, it's a very lonely road and nobody talks about it. And the things that you do as a Christian, it's against the norm because things have flipped now. The norm is like we'll do another video on that and like modern society, I guess, and what's normal, quote unquote, because what is really normal, nobody really knows what's normal anymore. But the things that have been normalized, a lot of them go against Christianity. So if it's one piece of advice, especially with religion, I remember, I think it was my grade 11 class where we had to do world religions, and like we went to like all the temples, we went to the mosque, we went to the Buddhist temple, we went to like we had a Catholic school. But I remember one thing that my teacher said was, he said, whatever your religion is, because there was people in our class who were like not Catholic, there was like full on like women in hijabs and stuff. And it's like one thing that he said is, he said, whatever your religion is, you need to stand firm in your beliefs. Like, stand firm in your beliefs. And that can only happen when you really start to build that relationship with God, and when you feel His presence, when you understand and you have to get into a knowing. It's not about belief anymore, it's into a knowing. There's certain experiences that only you have gone through, that only God has pulled you out of, and people are not going to understand that. So at the end of the day, yeah, that's my list for the cutoff crew. You gotta join the cutoff crew and cut people off the first time they have you messed up. Don't wait around for red flags to get bigger and redder and more vibrant and more fiery. Don't wait for that. But that is all for today's episode. Until next time, sisters.